Hello, and welcome to my internship final report and my reflection of my internship for the summer 2022 doctoral internship at Sam Houston State University. My name is Stephanie Galvan Russell. I am a middle school librarian in Austin, Texas. I am an instructional systems design and technology doctoral student. I am a nerd and an overall educational technology enthusiast. So, this summer for my doctoral internship, I was given the opportunity to be a graduate assistant with Dr. Karen Perry in Sam's Library Science Department. I am a graduate of the Library Science Department at Sam Houston, and I got to take classes where Dr. Perry was my instructor. And because of that, and how much I enjoyed learning from her, we have maintained a professional relationship since then. And so she gave me the okay to be her graduate assistant this summer, and I was her graduate assistant for LSSL 5370 School Librarianship, LSSL 5330 Collection Development, and LSSL 5396 Computer Science Applications for School Librarianship. My project goals for the summer were to plan and organize instructional learning, training, and educational technology projects and evaluate the solutions of instructional learning, training, and educational technology problems. That was the original intent for my internship this summer, and that is directly from my ISDT 7385 internship approval document. But what actually ended up happening was along the way throughout the summer was I found that I was actually doing more than I originally intended. So I did so much grading and giving feedback. And what I learned over the summer was how to give really good constructive feedback. And I'll get into that. I observed a learning community in action, how these future librarians developed their own learning community based on their classes, how they work together based on their discussions. I got to watch how that came to be, and it was really neat because it was purely organic. Dr. Perry and I did not do any major, facilitation other than assigning group projects and encouraging the students to work together. But as their discussions continued over the summer, you saw them really create a learning community where they found each other in certain responses, where they said that how they had worked together, they saw something that the other posted online. And I thought that was a really cool thing to see. And I also created resources for the students. So, two of the resources I created were videos that I found were very relevant based on what the students were learning. So, at the beginning of the summer, I found that the students were talking a lot about how they were very unfamiliar with maker spaces. And being that they are going into school librarianship, maker spaces are something that they really need to know. So, I put together a quick presentation for them. I took some tips and some ideas, as well as some of what my librarian friends are doing, and put that in there. And you're welcome to watch that video after this video. And then I just made them a video and I added it into Blackboard so that they could watch it as well as doing their projects. So this way they got to learn something that they said they all needed work on. Then, in the collection development course, I found that a lot of students were noticing that they were seeing books being banned that they didn't think were fair, and they wanted to know more about how they could ensure that their books that they chose were not going to have pushback on. And so something that I rely on is my district's collection development guidelines and how to use book reviews to select books for the school library. And so I made a video on that, teaching them how they can use book reviews specifically from Follett Tidal Wave's website. And I also went along my district guidelines for collection development so that they could see what a good collection development guideline looks like, because I know some districts or some schools don't have them. Hey guys. Oops.
Hey guys, Stephanie here.
Hi, future
Something
librarians.
you
You don't need to watch those right now. Okay. So my evaluation had been planned where the MLS students would fill out a Google form evaluation and I would create a video presentation on what I have learned through this internship, which is what I'm doing now. And I'm about to go over the information from the evaluation. So there were more than 50 students. So one course had about 35, one course had 15, and one course had 15. but there was some overlap in those students. So I now have learned how professors feel when this not all of the students provide feedback at the end of the semester. So I provided a Google form based off of the Sam Houston um, feedback forms that we have for professors, as well as some that I have used with my own students. I made it relatively simple so that the MLS students could fill it out and give me feedback. So the questions were, what course did you have with me? And it had the three courses. Did you receive feedback from me, Stephanie, in any assignments? Was the feedback offered relevant to your progress as a school librarian? Did you watch any of the videos created to supplement the course materials created by Stephanie? Did you find the videos helpful and or relevant to the course material or to school librarianship? And then they got to use the Likert scale and these statements. Stephanie treated me fairly and with respect. Stephanie made students feel free to ask questions. Stephanie communicated clearly, and Stephanie offered advice and tips that I found relevant to my progress as a school librarian. And then they could add any extra notes or feedback if they wanted to. So the feedback I received was I had 10 students participate, which I know they're busy. It's the end of the semester. They're working on projects. Some of them may already be checked out and not looking at their email or checking assignments. So totally understandable. I'm just glad that I got a good round number. So I had 10 students. 8 of the 10 said that they got feedback from me, which is probably very accurate because Dr. Perry and I were both sharing the workload. So not all of them would have received feedback from me. Was the feedback offered relevant to your progress as a school librarian? 8 out of 10 said yes. Then, did you watch any of the videos created to supplement the course material created by Stephanie? 9 out of 10 said yes. Did you find the videos helpful and or relevant to the course material or to school librarianship? 9 out of 10 said yes, and this one is the one who said no over here. So I'm going to give myself a 10 out of 10 on that one. Then on the Likert scale, Stephanie treated me fairly and with respect, all 10. Stephanie made students feel free to ask questions. All 10 gave me fives. Stephanie communicated clearly. I got 1 3 and 9 5s. Stephanie offered advice and tips that I found relevant to my progress as a school librarian. 1 3, 1 4, and 8 5s, which I think is great. So, what I learned over the course of the summer was so much more than I originally expected to learn. First, I learned that grading and time management go hand in hand, and I don't know how professors do it. Professors are truly, truly amazing, especially when you are teaching more than two courses at a time. Plus, if you're doing research, if you're doing any of your own writing papers, doing presentations, anything. Professors are truly amazing because now that I have seen the other side, especially as a grad student for a master's program, it is a lot of grading. So even sharing the workload with a professor and just having three courses was so much work. I found myself feeling like a first year teacher again, in feeling overwhelmed by all the grading I had to do. But luckily, I had an amazing professor who was my mentor who told me it was okay, take your time. We're going to get through it. We have plenty of time. It's fine. So making sure that I was getting grading done and managing my time, not just for the grading, but as well as making sure that I got my time in for the internship required hours. Because again, this was summer. I did have a vacation with my family. I was traveling at different points in the summer, also having to go back to work, and then working at 2 conferences this summer. So having to do time management was a big part of what I learned this summer. I also learned how to create a community of learners. And when I say create, I know earlier I said that the community that we saw develop was something that was purely organic. But I think as well that part of that development came from the ability of Dr. Perry to create the discussions that led to those conversations and that community happening. And then based on the feedback we would give them and the comments we would leave and encouragement in their group projects, I felt like that was a really great way to create a community of learners, of adult learners, because I've worked with adults before as a professional development provider and as a librarian where I teach adults ed tech, but I've never gotten to see a community of adult learners come together. And I thought that that was a really important way for me to see it happen, especially over the summer and with master's students. Finally, I learned how to give constructive feedback. Now, again, I have worked with adults, I have worked with students in the K 12 aspect, but never with teaching adults that are getting a master's degree. So I had to think about how I was given feedback as a master's student, how I would get feedback now as a doctoral student, as well as how I would want to be given feedback on anything. So I made sure that I was offering feedback where the students were getting points such as, how are you planning to learn more about something? So when they talked about not knowing much about makerspaces, and I said, how do you plan on learning more? Don't just accept the fact that you don't know something. How are you planning to continue your own growth? And I did a lot of encouragement in the feedback of their growth as librarians, because we're never done learning. And so I also always had to think about, how is this learner going to take the feedback I give them into their career as a school librarian? And so I had to learn how to do that. And it was a really neat experience to have. So that is my reflection on my internship this summer. I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, my contact information is on the screen. Thank you so, so much to Dr. Perry for letting me have this amazing opportunity. And thank you to Sam, Houston State University, and to Dr. Song for being our instructor over the summer. Goodbye. Have a great day.